Cimoooooooo! Welcome to Tech Tuesday, a weekly series where we discuss some awesome tech cards as well as helping you a better player. This week's card is Mask of Restrict, an extremely old trap card that's really going to restrict just how much your opponent's going to be able to play the game. Now, Mask of Restrict probably has one of the most simplest card texts in the game. It's a continuous trap card, and the effect reads, cards cannot be tributed. That's all there is to it. Now, why is this card a good tech card? Well, let's go ahead and evaluate where the meta is currently at and see how we can best use Mask of Restrict to our advantage. So this past weekend was the 150th YCS, and I also went and attended the LA Regional. And this is really the first big event where Cross Souls had the opportunity to shine and show really just what kind of impact it's going to have on the current format. And what we saw is a couple things. Necros are still tier 1 without a doubt, and also Lose a Turn is an incredibly good card that makes Clipboard incredibly relevant again. So Mask of Restrict is really good against both of these decks specifically. So let's start with Necros. Now obviously, as we all know, Necros require ritual summoning, which ritual summoning requires tributing. So, as a result of that, if you flip up Mask of Restrict, it's basically like a one-sided Vanity's Emptiness that's only going to affect your opponent, assuming you're not playing Necros yourself. And that's really, really good, because having the ability to just completely lock your opponent out while still having the ability to freely special summon is really good. And not only are you preventing ritual summoning, but you're preventing a plethora of other things as well. You're preventing your opponent from activating Valk on the field to tribute off monsters to draw more cards. You're preventing your opponent from tributing off Sharit, which when tributed, allows your opponent to search. There's just so many different applications that Mask of Restrict can apply to, focusing on Necros, that it's an incredibly powerful floodgate to utilize against it. Now let's move on to Clipboard. Now as we all know, Clipboard's power plays lie in their tribute summons. And so if you have Mask of Restrict on the field, your opponent's not going to be allowed to go for those big power plays. Meaning, you're not going to get OTK'd by Disc, you're not going to get locked down by Stealth, and you're not going to get completely shut down by Towers. Three of their most incredibly powerful cards. Now something that's been a little bit more under the radar is the rise of Infernoids. Now I know Infernoids haven't been like topping YCS or anything like that, but they have been getting tops in some other events like at UK Nationals and things like that. And what's really cool about Mask of Restrict is it doesn't really stop the core of the deck, but it's really good because it can stop them from tributing themselves off to be able to banish cards out of the graveyard, meaning that they can actually be like destroyed by your cards rather than themselves just chaining and not being able to do anything. The other cool thing is, too, it stops a card like Monster Gate, which is what gets the whole deck going, so it's also kind of good in that matchup as well. So dual purpose for one card is never bad. And finally, Mask of Restrict can be good against a couple other just broad applications as well. For example, if you flip up Mask of Restrict early, your opponent's not going to be able to crush card you because crush carding requires a tribute for cost. Same goes for enemy controller. So with Mask of Restrict, you can actually stop these really powerful cards from being played. And also, you can prevent the summoning of floodgate monsters like Majesty's Fiend, Vanity's Fiend, and the Monarchs occasionally might pop their heads in and out. But for the most part, I mean, Majesty's and Vanities, being able to stop them from being dropped on you is pretty good. Let me know down in the comments what you guys all think about Mask of Restrict. I think it's a pretty cool card, and especially now that we're seeing Clipboards and Necros take a front row seat in the meta. I mean, it has a lot of good application, at least even in the side deck, but I mean, if you want to go ahead and main deck it for a one-sided Vanity's Emptiness against Necros, it's not entirely a bad idea. Thank you all so much for watching the video. See you next week.